You see, this was Zidane with the first goal. He scored 2 goals in this particular fixture. This was Zidane also with the second goal, headers off set pieces. Same match also, Marcel Desailly picked up a red card. Yeah, this was that particular red card. This was up against Cafu. That was where Marcel Desailly picked this red card. Yeah, this was Nazario. You see, something quite interesting about this match. This man should not have played this match. He should not have played this match. And I'll let you know in a little bit. Let's just take a look at that final third goal. This was a shocker. Brazil were expected to win this World Cup. They were the best team in the world. But they just could not do it. Emmanuel Petit of Arsenal with the third goal as France picked up the World Cup in the most famous Brazil versus France match. Brazil versus France is going to be the pick of the bunch when it comes to FIFA World Cup series leading up to 2026. And that is what we are going to talk about. Brazil versus France has given us one of FIFA's greatest classics of all time. And that was in the World Cup final 1998. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the head-to-head between France and Brazil. Now, something quite interesting when it comes to the head-to-head between France and Brazil, both teams are finely poised. The match is going to be on Thursday, the 26th of March, 2026. Like I said, it's part of FIFA series leading up to World Cup. And both teams have 6 wins each and 3 draws, right? 6 wins each and 3 draws. Yeah, it's like I mentioned, it's FIFA's exhibition road to 2026 exhibition series, and it will hold at the New England Revolution's Gillette Stadium. It's going to be so head to head. Let's look at the head to head for both teams. Like I mentioned, head to head, Brazil versus France, 6 wins each, 3 draws in between. Most recent head to head, the last 5 games between both teams, Brazil have won twice, France have won twice, and there's 1 draw. So that is it. Head-to-head, recent head-to-head history, and then overall head-to-head history, both of them are tied. But I want to do a throwback and show you the most famous Brazil versus France match, and that had to be at the France 98 World Cup final. That was the match. This is one of FIFA's classic matches of all time. Brazil versus France. France were at home. Aimé Jacquet was the coach. Brazil was expected to pick this World Cup. But just before I go into the names and the stats and go into all the nostalgia, let's take a look at some of the highlights from that particular fixture. This match was all about Zinedine Zidane. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this particular final. And boy, oh boy, the names on this roster, the nostalgia, the names on this roster. You see, this was Zidane with the first goal. He scored 2 goals in this particular fixture. This was Zidane also with the second goal, headers off set pieces. You call Arsenal set piece FC. You're calling Arsenal set piece FC. France won the World Cup via set pieces. I think the final goal, okay, I think this same match also, Marcel Desailly picked up a red card. Yeah, this was that particular red card. This was up against Cafu. That was where Marcel Desailly picked this red card. I think at the end it was it Patrick Vieira? Okay, yeah, this was Nazario. You see, something quite interesting about this match. This man should not have played this match. He should not have played this match. And I'll let you know in a little bit. Let's just take a look at that final third goal. This was a shocker. Brazil were expected to win this World Cup. They were the best team in the world. But they just could not do it. Emmanuel Petit of Arsenal with the third goal as France picked up the World Cup in the most famous Brazil versus France match. This was the match that introduced Zinedine Zidane to the world, not as a player. He was already a star before then, but he picked the Ballon d'Or this year. He won the Serie A with Juventus, multiple awards. This was the Zinedine Zidane year. All right, so let's take a look at that that roster. Let's talk about this will be nostalgia for a number of people. As we take a look at this roster, let's take a look at the lineups. Maybe let's start from the Brazilian side. We had Claudio Taffarel in goal. We had Cafu, the best right back of all time. I don't know what you want to say. There was Alder, there was Junior Baiano, and then there was Roberto Carlos. There was Leonardo, you know him as a coach this time for younger people. There was Carlos Dunga, maybe Brazil's ever most influential captain, who of course has also become a coach. There was Cesar Sampaio, and then you had this man, Rivaldo. It was also at his peak during his periods. Bebeto was there as a remnant from the 1994 World Cup. And then, of course, you had Nazario, Ronaldo, Dalima. Looking up at the French side, Guivash was up front, was substituted a little bit later. And then you also had Yuri Jokaev. You had Emmanuel Petit. And then you have current coach and captain of that side, Didier Deschamps. He was in that particular squad. He was the captain, the man himself. He made everything happen that night. Zinedine Zidane. There was Christian Karembeu. And then, of course, you had Lilian Thuram, father of Marcos Thuram, and, of course, Kefren Thuram, who are playing now. And then, of course, you had Frank Leboeuf. He's a pundit now. You had Marcel Desailly. Chelsea fans will never forget, one of their most influential players of all time. And this man, many people might not remember this man, but I call him one of the best left backs of all time. Bixente Lizarazu. This dude was something else. I'll put him up there, one of the best left backs of all time. And of course, you had Fabian Barthez in goal. This was a legendary match. This roster. I still remember. I feel goosebumps when I'm talking about it. I still remember it like yesterday. The reason why. Now let me get to that particular point where we talk about this man and why he should not have started that match. As at that time, Nazario Ronaldo da Lima was basically the best player in the world. Now, prior to that match, 45 minutes, like an hour to the match, when the team list came out, he was not there. He was said to have convulsed, like he was shaking and non-responsive. He was sick, very, very sick. After 45 minutes to the match, and then another team list came out, and we saw Ronaldo's name in that team list, right? So they said after some interventions, we were able to find a way and prop him up. But all through that match, this man was not, he was not himself. He could not play. He was not in form. And it was said that because this man was not in form, that was why this man came on trumps. It was two of the greatest players of all time against each other. This man came out on top. Ronaldo Nazario da Lima could not replicate. You know, he was sick. He was sick, and it was obvious on that particular day. And then the controversy after that match went on and on. Should Ronaldo have started? Should any other person? You know, let me take a look at the bench of both sides, right? Let's take a look at the bench and who could have, you know. This man also, Danielson, one of the most skillful players of all time, one of the greatest dribblers of all time, was on the bench, and he came in a little bit later on. But on the bench, Danielson, of course, was there. Dida was the second choice keeper. Dorival, Edmondo, Emerson. There was Germano. There was Giovanni, Goncalves, Zé Carlos, and of course Zé Roberto. So this time he was not yet at Bayern Munich. He was at Bayer Leverkusen. And then looking at the French side, of course, Thierry Henry was on the bench for this one. Patrick Vieira came in. He was also on the bench. David Trezeguet was on the bench. Robert Pires, Benalama, who was the goalkeeper. Christophe Dugarry, Diomande, Charbonnier was also a goalkeeper. Bogosian and Candela. Epic match. So, you know, this is one of the greatest. So I know for those of you who, you know, this is nostalgia for you. So Brazil and France has given us one of FIFA's most classic matches, and I am looking forward to this particular iteration, the latest iteration of Brazil versus France. It's going to be on Thursday, the 26th. Looking forward to that one.